David Wilson is going to be joining us. Hey, David.
There we go. How you doing, Chip?
Very good, very good. David, thank you for joining us. Let me do a quick introduction. And Nirav Desai is on as well in our headquarters. Nirav.
Hi, there.
Hi, David.
Yeah. So David, let me introduce you. David is Senior Vice President of Ecosystems for Infosys. Another big job managing all of the ecosystem partners for Infosys. David's been in that role for I think a couple of years, and prior to that has had a number of significant partnering and ecosystem roles at IBM. And I'm sure some other roles beyond IBM as well. So, but David, welcome.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chip. Yeah, I prior to leading the global partner ecosystem for Infosys, I led the software channel globally and the cloud channel for IBM. And prior to that, I was with a ISV, so I've kind of had a seat at different partnering tables over the last little while.
That's great. We're excited to have you. Thank you for joining. And Nirav is Global Head and GM of System Integrators at WorkSpan. Nirav, welcome as well.
Thank you.
So I think with that, I'll again just leave it to you guys, and I will sit back and be a member of the audience and take it away, guys.
Thanks very much.
David, once again, many thanks. Super excited to be here and doing this with you. How's it in New York there?
It's okay. I'm actually not in New York City today.
Okay.
I'm just outside of New York in Connecticut today.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Everything's great. Easy, nice spring.
Okay. So David, before we start, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us more about your past. You've held various leadership positions in IBM, Infosys, etc., and you've done some amazing work in the partnering world, in the channel world, in the ecosystem world, including various new business models. So tell us more about you, some of the good things that you've done so far.
Sure. So I guess the largest portion of my ecosystem experience was with IBM. I had a variety of partnering roles, leading the North American software channel, leading the global software channel, including the cloud piece. It was a great period of time. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the people in the company at IBM. The truth of the matter is there's been a lot of changes in the ecosystem. One of the organizations that I was responsible for was the GSIs. We've seen a tremendous amount of evolution of the different functions of the partner ecosystem. With the shift to the cloud, these separate pillars of I'm an ISV, I'm a reseller, I'm a distributor, I'm a system integrator are tending to blur. The big interest for me to move over to Infosys was they equally were seeing that shift. I wanted to make a significant investment and corporate focus around the partner ecosystem. And it seemed like a really good marriage. And I've been here for 18 months now. Just a few months ago, we had the annual board, the corporate board retreat. There were 3 topics on the agenda. One was talent, what always tends to be there, and one of them was the partner ecosystem. So, elevating the importance of the role of our partners and how we build out this robust ecosystem has gone all the way up beyond even our CEO and president and right up to the level of the board. So it kind of gives you an idea of the importance of that for Infosys.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So tell us some of the key trends that you're seeing in the partnering world. Also talk about what do you look for in a partner? How do you select a partner? How do you nurture them, work with them, and how do you kind of drive value both for Infosys, the partner, and most importantly, the customers?
Sure. Well, I think the one thing that I'm seeing, and I've seen this for a few years, is that the sales cycle's changing. What we had traditionally thought of as far as independent sales elements to a client tend to be morphing all into one. And what I mean by that is that let's look at a traditional large scale technology sell. You would have a infrastructure discussion, and you would have teams in there talking about the right infrastructure to base the project on. You may have a middleware discussion in there and have a separate sales cycle going on with that client. You would have the application itself that you were looking either develop in-house or to acquire from another vendor. And finally, you'd put out an RFP to an SI and say, we need to hire somebody to bring this all together to deliver on our customized solutions. The big shift that we're seeing in more and more is with the shift to cloud, with the advent of web services. These are they're less of separate sales processes and more of collapsing into one. The clients are not as interested in owning the piece parts of the technology solution. At one extreme, they're even looking to contract for outcomes. So looking for a vendor, looking for a partner that would be able to contract with them in a form that allows them to pay on a recurring manner to move out of the CapEx to the OpEx side of the equation, and truly pay for an outcome, a business outcome, a technology outcome. And that's really where we see one of the great opportunities for Infosys and the whole system integrator space, is that if we can build out those key partnerships with the various technology players, work in concert with them as we go out and engage on these large scale opportunities, we feel that we could be a fantastic position, both from a client perspective, but also adding value to our partners. I heard Mike speak earlier about the Embrace program that SAP has with Microsoft. So, we are very active with SAP. We've been recently received a few awards as one of the top, if not the top SI for Microsoft, that we're quite proud of. How we work with that is that we essentially look at these partnerships that are occurring, understand that there are ecosystem relationships forming, and we want to participate in that and be able to work with the variety of these partners. You could just go across the entire partner ecosystem, and we've gone out there and we are engaging and looking to build out how we can contribute to those sub ecosystems that are forming. To your point, as far as how we look at partners, really there are three areas that I talk to our prospective partners about, that we look at, evaluate what we think is the ultimate value of a partnership. The first is, what is the market pull that we see from that partner vendor's technology? So this would be arguably the most important element when we're evaluating how we partner. It's things regardless of all the creative partnering agreements that we can build out and strategies with that vendor. If the technology itself isn't getting demand from the clients, and our technologists on our own team internally and our services team doesn't embrace the technology, then that's just that just prevents us from getting out of the gate to begin with. So that's item one. We look at the market pull related to that vendor's technology. The second one is the commercial model that we look at, and what I mean by that is that we have a strategy that we're trying to execute upon that allows us to play more of an orchestrator role and to engage with our partners and our clients in a certain way. How we line up with that technology vendor from a commercial model is extremely important. So if they conflict, if the partner is looking for us to play a role in a certain way that conflicts with how we see the market opportunity that can be problematic. On the other side of the equation, we have vendors that have approached us and built out very creative commercial models that allows us to bundle together their technology into our solutions and our managed services offerings that we're taking to our clients. And they can be very creative. And quite honestly, the ultimate is when we pay our sales team on the consumption of our partner technology. And if we have the right commercial model and we're embedding the technology into our offering, we can do that. And that's the ultimate prize for any partners, to have additional salespeople anxious to see consumption. And then the third element that we evaluate is essentially the go-to-market model. And I think, Tom was talking about all the planning that goes into place, but how we actually engage both from a market presence, executive alignment, how are we doing co-marketing, demand gen, and all the way down to how our field reps work together. We've seen, historically, you can see scenarios where, we make large scale global declarations around how we're going to work together. And then we get down to the field, and the way the teams are aligned or compensated or measured are in conflict, and we just can't seem to get out of the gate together. So, the go-to-market model is incredibly important. So when you look across those three areas, the market pull, the commercial model that we're working with, and the go-to-market approach, those are really the three things that we look at.
Okay, that's a fairly well-structured, thought-out construct and a model that you use. So, I picked up a couple of keywords there. One was around orchestration, right? So Infosys talked about the whole live enterprise strategy for its customers. And then if you were to extend it to the partners, you can call it a live ecosystem or an agile ecosystem, right? So how does Infosys kind of become that master orchestrator, putting all this together for your end customers? And then how do you orchestrate these multiple partnerships? I guess, you have like 100 plus, 300 plus partnerships, big and small. And sometimes, multiple partners coming together, like Embrace or other programs.
Sure. So there's two elements to that. So firstly, the live enterprise strategy is really how we are embracing the digital transformation internally. So, one of the key elements here is that we are expect to be and are positioned to be, and hopefully fortunate enough to be, that key advisor to our client network. As they are shifting towards a digital first and digital everything model, we want to not only be advising them into working on their requirements, but we want to be capturing their requirements and building it into our own internal efforts. So we have a tremendous number of internal transformation efforts that are going on, and as we build those out and apply those to our own business requirements, we are then extending that directly to our clients. A great place to look is our Lex, which is our internal training platform that developed. One of the most critical important things to any system integrator is to develop services skills and capabilities. So we've developed a digital platform to enable and train in real time through mobile means, through remote learning means. And in order to take full advantage of that, we are not only applying it to standard internal development type techniques, but we are embedding partner training into this. So for example, if we're standing up an SAP, new SAP practice in a new delivery center around some new initiatives, one way that we can obviously do that is take some of our deep technical skills and capabilities around the SAP suite and assign them into the project, which we absolutely do. But we'll also want to be able to take advantage of the local resources that we've been developing, and to be able to quickly be able to train them. So having a platform that essentially allows us to quickly be able to build up skills, as an example, and put that in the hands of our practitioners is an incredibly valuable way of addressing the services delivery requirements. Now, you go out to your clients, so you got our partners providing content, and it's to their advantage to be not only training our own individuals on their capabilities, but then we're taking that platform and we're taking it out to our key clients, and our key clients are embracing it, and they themselves are able to then be able to take full advantage of the training capabilities of that partner's capabilities within their own organization. That's just one example around how we're doing the skills development side of the equation. You could apply that through our HR side of the equation, our procurement type model, some of the efforts that we're developing around that side of the equation. These are things that we're developing in using our partner capability, and then we're taking it out to our clients and allowing our clients to use it in the same way and take full advantage of our experiences.
Okay, great.
The one thing that I mentioned as an example, I'll throw this out here as far as some of the strategy elements. I mentioned around the training element, local resources. The one other thing that, just going back to your earlier question about some of the trends, one of the things that we've been doing very aggressively is building out our local capabilities. So that, historically, when you look back in particularly the Indian-based SI history, there have been an incredible amount of work being taken and worked remotely. And then you saw over time, all the major global system integrators in the world were building up their local capabilities. In fact, my previous employer, IBM, the country with the largest employees in the world is in fact India now, as far as how they followed that model. Well, what we're finding is the pendulum swinging back the other way. While globalization is still an incredibly important element to anybody's business model, building out capabilities very close to our clients is becoming increasingly important. And that we see that we were moving in that direction from a client perspective, just our local demands, but also with some of the decisions that have been made in a lot of the governments around the world to want to encourage more local resources. We've been doing a tremendous amount of build out of local hubs. The US is a great example where we've hired over 12,000 people over the course of the last 2 years to build out capabilities local to our clients. We think that is critically important, not only to our clients, but to also be able to, in these hubs, showcase our partners' capabilities. So it's a key element of our strategy that we think that not only our partners, but our clients are able to take full advantage of.
Okay, that's great. So I'm going to ask you the question around, how you're managing this, global ecosystem of partnership, including your members who are spread out, the ecosystem team, and then the plans, the working together around joint solutioning, around joint marketing, around joint sales. How are you using or digitally enabling your own ecosystem organization, or how are you digitally transforming the ecosystem operations, if you will, to drive some of the vision that you have for Infosys, and then including your partners to take to the customers?
Sure. So, what I'll say is that and we're still in that journey. So, I listening to Tom speak before me, and I know that that SAP is probably a little bit further ahead than us as far as the whole full digitization. But we're clearly in that motion to move in that direction. Quite simply, the reason why it's so incredibly important to have the tools, and obviously now here I am working from my home office today versus in New York City, beyond the critical nature of the digital model today, but just simply from an effectiveness perspective, when we look at our global reach, we have hundreds of thousands of 250,000 employees. We have sales teams across our industry organizations. We have sales teams within our service delivery team as well, that are building out relationships and driving opportunities. There's two ways you could approach trying to building out this robust, energetic partner ecosystem. One is you can scale up and hire a lot of people and make sure that you have the global model in place, make sure you have the regional model in place, make sure that you have, built out extensive capabilities that reach down into all our regional teams, all our industry teams, all our delivery teams in order to make sure that we've got this well-orchestrated model. The other option, quite frankly, is to fully enable the field. And that's the direction that we've been going in, how we're building out our digital capabilities is really, the way I explained to our senior leadership team at Infosys, I should be staffing at the global role, and quite honestly, the resources in the region that report up to me, it's growing, but it's not going to grow in an exponential fashion. It should be growing to the point where we have the minimum number of resources that can build out the ecosystem, that can be the enabler of the ecosystem. However, the key element is to enable the field resources and to be able to make sure the field sales team, all the way from the individual sales rep on an account to the regional sales leader, right up to the global EVP of a particular industry, getting access to a digital understanding of the current state of the ecosystem, what partners we have around specific areas, the value they add, connecting through to our CRM systems to make sure that we have the pipeline visible, and then you shift over to the go-to-market and making sure that we've got the future pipeline, that we've got the collaboration tools in place, and that we are truly enabling our sales team to be able to be successful leveraging the partner ecosystems. And the more I see, our sales leadership at our different conferences and quite frankly, even at our internal award ceremonies, reference the value that they've gotten out of the partnerships and pointing to them as one of the critical success factors. That's a great indicator that we're making the progress. Ultimately, that's going to be the end result. And I'll say when I first started here 18 months ago, one of the elements we were treating the field the partnership team, the alliance team, as a sales team. Having individual sales targets, and when a deal closes, basically counting that as the individual win. If the deals don't close, then that individual failed. And essentially what was happening is that we were spending more time wanting to, make sure that we were visible and, on the calls and showing that we're adding value so that we would, the individuals are being credited for being part of that sale. And, the ultimate element is I don't want to measure individual people. I want to measure the ecosystem. So we were, as far as, shifting away from this, the ultimate goal is not to have individuals that have the title, partner or alliance involved in every single major deal. If we've done our job correctly, we've built out the program, we've enabled the field, we've built the local ties between the partner and our sales team. And the fact that a deal is identified, progresses, and closed that's attributed to that partnership, and I'm not necessarily having to be in holding the hands all the way along, that should be success and that should be rewarded, as opposed to making sure that everybody is individually involved. So we've shifted the metrics of how we look at the partnerships, less about treating it as a channel sales, and much more about being an ecosystem builder and an ecosystem enabler. And the only way you can do that is through digital means to be actually manage your business.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, you answered a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. So you're talking
Oh, sorry.
That's great. You talked about the vision. You talked about how do you drive value, measure value, and communicate value as well. So thank you for doing that. I think I'm going to open this up for audience questions, and then
Sure.
Go back to more questions if you have time. Chip, over to you.
Yeah, David, this was terrific. Really appreciate you sharing all of these, your insights and learnings and running the large organization. I loved hearing at the beginning how you mentioned that partner ecosystems is one of the top 3 board priorities. I mean, can't be more important than that. So that's congratulations and great to hear that.
No, it's and I think companies are becoming more and more aware of the fact that of the importance of building out these partnerships. That our clients are becoming partners. So this is all the rules of that we previously would look like. I would, if you were to talk to a major vendor 5-7 years ago and you say the word partner, they would immediately think a reseller. That has now changed to even looking at clients that are becoming technology companies, and they're looking for us as a partner, not just as a client. So yeah, it's really changing.
Yeah, it's a new world.
That's true with the increasing adoption of IoT, 5G, Industry 4.0.
Oh yeah.
All of them are becoming, many of them are customers, but now becoming your partners as well.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. You go to talk to a telco, and I'm not a telco. I'm a technology company. I remember I was one of my distributor partners in my previous role, Arrow. All they wanted to talk about when we went in there, we had all these senior leadership team. We spent maybe of the 5-hour deep dive with the very top people in the company on both sides. We only talked about 1 hour as far as the resale business. Everything else was around their technology business. And they were literally not wanting us to use the term distributor because they want to become a technology company. You could just go right across the element. I remember reading a little while ago that Bank of Nova Scotia, one of the big financial companies in Canada, had recently signed up to be a Microsoft partner. As they developed a solution, and they now wanted to extend that to their other financial institutions as a business strategy. So things really are changing.
Amazing. So we do have a question that comes from Rajat. And I think you covered some of these things that came in earlier, but maybe you have some thoughts on this as well. So Rajat's question are, what are some of the challenges, both internal to Infosys and external, you're facing in building effective partnerships, and then how are you overcoming those challenges?
Sure. Well, I think one of the critical elements across the ecosystem is be able to make sure that we've got the right metrics and how you can attribute value to that particular partnership. I've been a very vocal on both sides of the equation to state that traditional channel metrics can show false positives and false negatives. I've had situations where we've where people were doing victory laps claiming that the partners were so successful around a particular area, and then digging down into the metrics and realizing that in fact that this was fulfillment type work, that it was recoding of situations, and that there was just a different underlying challenge. And conversely, situations where the metrics had been showing an impossible compare due to some large deal that had closed the previous year. However, in the current year, what had been replaced from one large deal had been, 30 small deals that added up to just, the equivalent amount. And people thinking that the channel wasn't growing, that's a problem. And meanwhile, you've essentially enabled 30 new partners, and you built out first of a kind engagements, which from an ecosystem is a huge win. So one of the biggest challenge I would say is getting the metrics and how to define value for the individual company, and to ensure that that's known, make sure that's embraced across the organization. One of the things that we do, so we have our own metrics that we follow, to make sure that we're lining up against our own element. But as far as my metrics, that's only half of what I look at. The other half is understanding my partner's metrics. And to be, the way we can be successful is that we've delivered our own, value that we need from our company and our clients, but we've also effectively, in the eyes of the partner, are contributing as one of their very top partners, and therefore delivering on their metrics. And when we work with different partners, they definitely have different views. Some will tell you that they're all about consumption. Have what workloads are being consumed on their platform or using their services. Other ones, it's primarily transactional revenue. Other ones are, down another level, to ensure that, that we are generating new opportunities for them. So the OI element of the partnership is critical versus just being there to do the services. So I would absolutely state that the largest challenge to get both partner buy-in and internal leadership buy-in is to make sure that you've spent the time, you understand the metrics, and you're truly lining up the contribution of the partnerships with what makes your company, your clients, and your partners successful.
I love that, how it's not only it's your metrics, of course, but then also what's driving the partners to have them be successful too. So
exactly,
that's terrific. David, thank you so much. Nirav, I'm gonna let you guys wrap up, and then we'll bring Amit in to bring us home. So.
No, that's great, David. So amazing insights. Thank you for. I think you've covered almost all the questions that I had, and right from vision to strategy to execution to communicating value. This has been a fascinating conversation. I'm hoping to have many more of these as we move forward. Hopefully in person next time.
Exactly. Thank you.
But thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you, David.